Hi guys, welcome to this Facebook Live. We are coming to you live from our newsroom in Mumbai. We'd love to get questions from you and we'll try and give you as much perspective as possible on what happened in the markets today in terms of stocks and sectors. Don't mind the ambience noise. There's going to be a lot of background noise because this is a live newsroom. But even though I'll try to try and answer as many of your questions as possible. I'm trying to drift away a little. Meera's doing a link over here. Poonam is shouting out on numbers. It's a busy newsroom, like I pointed out. But the markets today were very active. You had a lot of high flyers. Sun Pharma particularly did well, lifted sentiment on Lupin and the entire pharmaceutical space. We also saw a fair amount of traction in oil marketing companies with crude spiraling down to $75 to a barrel, and the Kerala government saying that we're not going to impose additional VAT on the increased price. Brought about a fair amount of cheer in the markets because now it seems like a lot of states will follow suit given the pressures that, or rather the trend that Kerala has pretty much set out, and they would also recoil on tax incidents for the additional hikes coming through. That would bring about some ease in the final count on the number adjustment for oil prices, or the final number on retail as well as petrol. Retail petrol and retail diesel prices. So that's something that kept the markets in focus. We also saw a fair amount of traction come in on some of the banking names. BOB, the management said that this is perhaps the worst that you have heard from them. With the NCLT process gaining momentum, a lot of resolutions will happen for bad accounts, and that would spell good news for the sector as a whole. So there was a fair amount of traction in banks in today's session. Hotels, Indian hotels came out with a good set of numbers. Lemon Tree was active in trade as well. There was a fair amount of traction that we witnessed in some of the broader market names too. The market breadth looked strong. You had a good rally in the mid caps and the small caps. As we move into close out of the May series, it's been a brutal month for mid caps and small caps, and I think that could be a good starting point if you were to expect that things are likely to look up from here. June onwards. We'll just get in some of your questions on the markets and on individual stocks. But remember, it is a time when the market is seeking direction. So we're packed in a range, 10,400, 10,500 on the Nifty, maybe at best pushing it to 10,600, 10,700. But this 300, 400 point band is where the market is stuck. And right now we're seeking direction of where to go next from here. The cues could be in policy action and what the RBI signals in terms of rate moves. There's also all that talk about monsoon progression being pretty much as per schedule, which would spell good news for rural demand, which has been very, very active over the last few months. In fact, the numbers I think go by with, then rural demand has surpassed urban demand as well. Once we have questions coming in from our followers, we will quickly try and give you perspective on where things are stacked up here. On international global markets, you're looking at oil being a key variable. Remember, there's been a big retracement in oil prices, and that's largely come through because of all the key oil producing nations talking about increasing output. That would just balance out the supply side for crude, which would bring about an ease in prices. Okay, let's get in some questions. We have Abhishek saying, Tanvir, will the rally of oil marketing companies continue this week as Brent is around them? Can we buy this level? Abhishek, I can't talk about a specific company, as you already know, but oil marketing companies as a whole, it's tricky. It's very tricky for OMCs. We speak to a lot of analysts, and pretty much every single day we try and get a soundbite from them on what they make of the OMCs, and it's not a clear positive or negative call as of now. Today you saw a big rally, but look at the 3-month chart of oil marketing companies, look at the 1-month chart of OMCs, and that would give you a sense that the market still lacks confidence in the deregulation policy followed by the government. There's either ways no talk of an excise duty cut because the government has to draw its own share of revenues from oil prices, and on the other hand, as part of the escalation clause, OMCs are passing on those prices to the end consumer. But being an election year, that could be very sensitive for the market. So how much muscle do oil marketing companies have to actually control their own destiny, to keep hiking prices? How much elbow room do they have? How much flexibility has the government and the oil ministry offered them behind doors? That is something that the market is, pretty much latching on to for clarity. As of now, the official comments have always been that OMCs will be allowed to hike prices, and we've seen that happen as well. There's all that tussle between central taxes and state taxes, state VATs. We already heard the Kerala Finance Minister speak to ET Now exclusively, Thomas Isaac, who said that they would not impose additional VAT on the increase in oil prices. So prices went from 70 to 80 on that 10 rupee increase. Additional VAT duty of 34% will not be imposed. It's really whether you're a believer or a non-believer right now with OMCs. If they have their destiny in their own hands and can pass on the oil price burden, then it would not be hard on their financials. But other than that, it could be a tough call when it comes to managing their business. So it's really what you make of the story. But I would just say that out of all the sound bites we have gathered day in day out on OMCs, it's really a wait and watch mode. I don't think the market has a clear indication or of policy consistency here. And I think that's reflected in the way these stocks have performed as well. Okay, Ambishava is asking about will the Nifty top at 10,929. It's anybody's guess whether the Nifty would top at 10,900. But remember, again, the market is seeking direction. It's still not clear which way the markets would be headed from here, because there's so much that is uncertain in terms of what can determine the market's direction. One is global uncertainty, where global equity markets are, they continue to trend higher. Then, of course, markets like Argentina or Turkey are facing their own currency crisis, so to speak, mini crisis, so to speak, which is impacting EM fund flows. Locally as well, with rising oil prices, macros could be a bit hit if oil prices continue to trend higher. We are in a regime where interest rates are likely to move up sooner rather than later, and that will have an impact on the cost of funding. So, there are a couple of variable factors. I do understand your concern, and a lot of our guests have also indicated that the reasons for more upside from here are limited, but the reasons for a big breakdown are also not very clear. So the market would be in a range, and it's only a matter of conjecture, so one can only guesstimate or maybe run some estimates and assumptions on what will lead to a breakout or breakdown in the markets. Earnings could be a good positive factor, monsoons could be a good positive factor. After that, the overall growth numbers, exports picking up on the back of a falling currency could be a good factor. But all of that has to be in tandem to the global environment looking stable. Okay, let's also take in some more questions that have come in, and we have a question on whether or not the market can come off from the recent highs. Again, same, I'll give you the same answer. It's range bound for now, the markets, and one will have to only wait and watch out for what happens from now. Completely run out of time. But suffice to say, watch out for PSU banks, watch out for some of the commodity-oriented businesses, Tata Steel, Jindal Steel, Hindalco. These are businesses that have done well, the stocks have done well, and be mindful of the move that you're seeing in select IT as well as pharma. On the back of a falling currency, there could be a fair amount of interest coming back into these two sectors. I'm not going to get into stocks, but largely the sectors. Be mindful of the moves. Thanks very much for watching this Facebook Live. We'll come back again tomorrow to discuss more about the market.